Hello friends, welcome or welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. Today we are going to be choosing my November TBR. I cannot believe it is November already, but I'm so excited. Not only do we have Thanksgiving, but it is my birthday month. But just because October is over does not mean that I am not still in a spooky autumnal mood. So we are going to let nightmares choose my TBR once again. If you didn't see last month's TBR where I introduced this TBR game, be sure to check that out as well. I will link it up above and down below. I do go into more in-depth rules in that one, but I will give you the basics here. So in this game, I am playing the Dreamer. This is my game board. I am fighting against the nightmares and trying to avoid becoming one. We have a bag of different colored die that each correspond to a different nightmare, and each symbol on the die corresponds to a symbol on the game board that I will go over in just a moment. I'm going to draw 3 dice out of the bag. I'm going to keep one, put the other 2 back in the bag, and then I'm going to roll that die and resolve it on the game board. I will go over the colors and the nightmares first. We have our 4 lovely nightmares here. Each nightmare is going to correspond to a different genre. So if we draw out a red die, that is the nightmare of primeval fear, and we will have to pick a horror book. If I draw a green die, that is the nightmare of envy, and I will have to choose a cozy book. If I draw a blue die, that is the nightmare of the depths, and I will have to choose a fantasy or paranormal book. And this one did slightly change from last month. Last month we did the yellow as a thriller, but this month we are going to have the yellow die, which is the nightmare of imprisonment, be for a romance book. So once we have chosen our die to roll for the round, depending on what symbol it lands on is going to correspond to one of these spaces and correspond to a prompt. So if the die lands on a power symbol, that means I get to choose a hyped or anticipated book. If I roll a hunt symbol, that means I'm going to have to hunt for an underrated book. If this track does happen to get filled up, I'm going to have to completely scrap my TBR and start over. If I roll an exhaust symbol, I'm going to have to pick a book that I feel like I can finish in one night, which to me is about under 300 pages. If I do fill this track, I am going to have to add another roll, therefore another book to my TBR. And over here we have our shadow symbols. So if I roll a shadow symbol, I am going to have to trudge through the shadows and find a backlist book. I do only need 3 dice to fill each one of these tracks. So if one of these tracks do get filled up, I'm going to have to add a book to my TBR that corresponds to the corresponding nightmare track that I filled. For example, if I fill up the envy track, I'm going to have to add an additional cozy book to my TBR. And that is our game. One additional thing that is different this month than last is since last month was the first month, I didn't have anything carrying over, but we are going to do carry over. So anything that I did not finish in the previous month is going to remain on the board. So each die that represented the book, if I finished that book, it gets removed from the board. If I did not finish that book in the previous month, it remains on the board, making that month even harder. So let us get into last month's recap, see how many dice we have still on the board, and get into this month's rolls. Okay, first things first, we have to clear last month's board and go over if I read all of my TBR. The first roll was a hyped horror, which was Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach, and I did read that. Next, we rolled a fantasy backlist, which I chose The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and I did complete that. Next, I rolled for an underrated horror, which I chose The Haunted Forest Tour, which I did read. Next, we rolled a hyped cozy book, which was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I did read as well. Next was a backlist horror, which is Clown in a Cornfield, which I did read. Next, we rolled for a short thriller, which I chose The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay, and I did complete that. Next, we had another hyped horror, which I chose The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim, which I read as well. Next was a backlist fantasy, which I chose Slewfoot by Brahm, which was read as well. Next, we had another underrated horror, which I chose Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. I unfortunately did not get to this one, so this die is going to remain where it is. And lastly, we have a short horror, which I chose We All Rot Eventually by Mia Ballard. I have started this, and I will finish it before the end of the month, so this is going away as well. Only 1 die remaining from last month. I say that's a pretty great start, so let's get into this month's rolls. First, we have a blue, a yellow, and a green. Let's start off with a blue. Roll 1 is a paranormal fantasy. And it is a hyped. Let's go. What a great start. So to start off with, we got a blue power, which means we have a hyped or anticipated fantasy. And for this, I am going with Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is the sequel companion novel to Bride, which I read earlier this year and absolutely loved. So I am so excited to get into the sequel. If you haven't read Bride, I honestly think that the synopsis of this book is a complete spoiler. So I won't go into any like explicit details about the synopsis, but this is a werewolf romance, and in this world there are the vampire faction and then there are the werewolf factions, and they have been at war for so long. In Bride, we start to see the kind of forging of alliances between these two huge factions. So not only are we getting like scrumptious romance, we're also getting like political intrigue. I loved Bride so much. I am such a fan of Ali Hazelwood's writing and her humor. Her romances are always so much fun. They're steamy, they're heartfelt. I absolutely cannot wait to get back into this world. It had been such a long time since I have read a paranormal romance that gave me the kind of feelings that this gave me. Like, I'm talking like back in the Twilight days. Like, this gave me so much nostalgia. Well, not this, but Bride gave me so much nostalgia. So I am so ready to get back into this world. I'm not only super excited about this new romance, but I'm also intrigued to see kind of where the politics are going to go in this world. From the synopsis, it sounds like this is going to follow a very similar formula as Bride did, which is where they are mates. So they are like drawn to each other, but they are trying to resist and deny their connection and their feelings, which I eat up every time. Give me the yearning. I am so happy to be adding this to my TBR. Roll 2. We have a green, and a blue. Let's go with a green. Draw 2, we got a cozy. And we got a shadow. For roll 2, we got a green shadow, which means I need to choose a backlist cozy book. For this, I'm gonna go with You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This is a hate to friend to love romance that has been on my TBR since it came out in 2023. If I'm not mistaken, this also started as like a Reylo fanfic, which, if you don't know, is a Star Wars ship between Kylo Ren and Rey. And I mean, look at this man. If this is not an Adam Driver copy, I do not know what is. I mean, I loved and ate up Ali Hazelwood's The Love Hypothesis, which is arguably the most mainstream and popular Reylo fanfic inspired romance. So I am absolutely here for this. Our main characters meet and they absolutely hate each other, whether that be because they are complete opposites or they both happen to be dating the same woman, or both. They part ways, hoping to never see each other again, but years later they happen to meet up again, and they are both struggling and healing from really bad breakups, and they become surprising friends. But of course, the friendship line is going to start to blur into the romantic line, and this honestly just looks so autumnal, so cozy, so cute, and I'm honestly so excited to read another Adam Driver inspired man. Roll 3. We have a red, a green, and a blue. We haven't had a red yet, so let's do a red. Draw 3 was a horror. And a shadow. For roll 3, we got a red shadow, which means a backlist horror book. For this, I'm going with The September House by Carissa Orlando. This also came out in 2023 and has been on my TBR since probably early last year. In this, a couple moves into what they believe is their dream home, until they find out that it's haunted. Every single September, this house turns into a living hell. Like, the walls are dripping with blood, there are ghosts roaming the halls, and these ghosts seem to be terrified of something that lives in the basement. Any normal, sane person, myself included, would get the hell out of there, but not our girl Margaret. She's like, no, this is my house. No one and nothing is going to make me leave my house. But after 4 years, her husband Hal has had enough. He picks up and leaves and then seemingly disappears. No one is able to get a hold of him. And that's when their daughter comes knocking, who knows nothing about the hauntings. She is there trying to find out what happened to her dad and why he won't return her calls. And thus the search for Hal begins. But it seems like the harder Margaret and her daughter are searching for Hal, the more the house fights back. And oh yeah, September just began, so things are about to get a lot worse. This sounds so spooky creepy, and I love a horror mystery, so I am so excited to get into this. This is actually Carissa Orlando's debut novel, so I'm excited to see what she has in store. Roll 4. We have a yellow, a blue, and a green. Let's do a yellow. Draw 4, we got a romance. We got a power. Roll 4, we got a yellow power, which is a hyped romance. For this, I am choosing Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is a dark stalker romance that has been so hyped, and I've been meaning to get around to it for so long, but it is finally time. Our girl Allie has a little bit of a guilty pleasure of going onto TikTok and finding masked men thirst traps. She has a dream, like all women do. She dreams of a masked man hunting her down, chasing her. And what happens when the big, muscled, shirtless, tattooed man catches you? I think we all know what happens. And our guy Josh is one of the aforementioned big, tattooed, masked muscle men. And when Allie drunkenly slides into his DMs asking him to break into her house with his mask, he decides to oblige. And then he pretty much just becomes obsessed with her, naturally. Every girl's dream, right? I am tentatively excited about this. I have had a very mixed track record with dark romance, but I have pretty high hopes for this one. I have heard that it does kind of veer more towards the contemporary romance while also mixing in some of the darker aspects. So I feel like this one could really work for me, and I'm so excited. Roll 5. A yellow, yellow, and blue. I think it wants me to pick a yellow, so let's go yellow. Draw 5 was another romance. And a shadow. Roll 5, we got a yellow shadow, which is a backlist romance. For this, I'm gonna go with In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I read Lovelight Farms by this author last year and really enjoyed it. This is the second in the Lovelight Farms series. We did meet our characters in this book in the previous book, and I'm so excited to get back to this farm. So in this one, we follow our quiet, grumpy farmhand Beckett and a social media influencer city girl Evelyn. In Lovelight Farms, Evelyn comes to Beckett's farm for a social media contest and to kind of help them with their publicity. But apparently her coming to his farm was not the first time they had met. They spent this like romantic weekend together, but it turned into kind of a one-night stand. And Beckett has not been able to get her out of his head since. So not only are we getting a second chance romance, we also get a small cozy farm and a grumpy sunshine dynamic. Like, what more could I ask for? Roll 6. We have a green, a yellow, and a red. Let's do another green. Pull 6 was a cozy read. And we got another power. For roll 6, we got a green power, which means we are adding a hyped cozy book to the TBR. And for this, I am going with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. Another cozy, small town, grumpy sunshine romance. In this, we are following Jeannie, who is actually gifted the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. She is absolutely thrilled for a chance at a fresh start and to get out of her boring desk job, so she picks up and moves to the small little town of Dream Harbor. And that is where she meets her love interest, Logan, who is a small town grumpy farmer. He says he wants absolutely nothing to do with her irritatingly upbeat attitude, but he also can't seem to stay away from her. There's also apparently some kind of mystery involved, and this cover is absolutely adorable. It sounds so sweet, so cozy, and I cannot wait to get into it. Roll 7. We have a blue, a green, and a yellow. Let's do another blue. Draw 7, we got a fantasy. Another power, let's go. Roll 7, we got a blue power, which means we are adding a hyped fantasy to the TBR, and I am so happy to be saying that we are adding Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews to the November TBR. After absolutely adoring Don't Let the Forest In, when I saw that she was getting a new release in October, I knew it had to be added to the November TBR. I mean, just look at this cover. Absolutely stunning. Even the back. There is something wrong with the garden. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Hazelthorn is the name of the estate that our protagonist Evander has lived at ever since he was a child. He was taken in by this like reclusive billionaire whose name I think is Byron. Yeah, Byron. And Byron has set Evander a couple of very important rules. 1, he can never leave the estate. 2, he is forbidden to enter the garden. And 3, and maybe most importantly, he can never be left alone again with Byron's grandson, Laurie. Laurie? It was Laurie, right? Yeah, Laurie. I'm terrible with names. Apparently, Laurie tried to kill Evander years ago, but that has not stopped Evander from being drawn to Laurie. And when Byron dies, Evander inherits everything. The manor, the wealth, everything. But Evander actually suspects that Byron did not just pass away. He was murdered. And he believes that the only person that can help him solve this mystery before they come after him as well is the grandson, Laurie. Meanwhile, the garden is absolutely rampaging. It has become bloodthirsty and it is breaking out of its confines. It is expanding throughout the entire manor. I cannot express to you how excited I am. I am already obsessed. I love botanical body horror, and C.G. Drew's writing is so freaking beautiful, but also gruesome and haunting and unsettling, but also so poetic. I'm really hoping that it doesn't let me down because my expectations are like up here after Don't Let the Forest In. So I'm really hoping that this does not let me down. I am so excited. Roll 8. Oh my gosh, all greens. So it looks like we're doing green. Draw 8, we got another cozy. And another shadow. Roll 8, we got a green shadow, which is a backlist cozy book. And before I tell you what book I picked, hear me out. I know it's only November, but I also know that Future Whitley is going to be really in the Christmassy mood towards the end of the month. So this pick is for Future Whitley. So for this, I am going with Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I have really enjoyed Tessa Bailey in the past, so when I found out that she had a Christmas romance, it immediately went onto my TBR, which happened to be in 2023. Again, this is the month of reading 2023 releases, apparently. I don't know a ton about this one, admittedly. I know that we are following 2 adult children of like these rock legends. Their moms used to be in this huge band together, and they are trying to bring them back together for a Christmas Eve reunion show. This is giving like cute, funny Hallmark movie, which I eat up once I get into the Christmas mood. So once I am there, I'm really hoping that this is gonna hit the spot. Roll 9. We have a red, a yellow, and a green. We've only had one red, so let's do another red. Pull 9, we got a horror. A power. Roll 9, we got a red power, which is an anticipated hyped horror. And for this, I am going with The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. Quite the 180 turn from the last selection, but we are adding another haunted house book to the TBR. So this manor, Ashburn House, is infamous. Everybody knows about it. There are rumors that the old owners went mad and they still like lurk the halls. But when Adrienne inherits this old manor, she is desperate. So she is only relieved to have a place to live. That is until things start moving when she's not looking and she's receiving these like cryptic messages etched into the walls. Adrienne quickly realizes that she is not alone in this house. It appears something sinister is sharing her new house and it is out for blood. But not only does Adrienne just have to work to escape and survive, she also has to try to like solve the mystery around this Ashburn house. I am quite excited to try Darcy Coates. She is such a beloved author and she is like a horror icon queen. So I'm really hoping I love her as well. And the final roll, roll 10. Two blues and a red. Let's go for a blue. And our last roll is a fantasy. we got a shadow. And finally, last but not least, we got a blue shadow, which is a backlist fantasy. And for this, I am going with Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. Question mark. This has been so high on my TBR since its release, but I am a binge reader. I want to start a series and finish it all in one go. So I really wanted to wait until the second book came out. I know the second book has been out for quite some time, but I just recently acquired it. So I have both books now, so I am ready to dig into the series. This is a witch and witch hunter young adult romance. Talk about enemies to lovers. I am so excited. By day, Rune pretends to be this normal girl, but by night she is the Crimson Moth. She is a witch vigilante. She goes around trying to save her fellow witches from being murdered. One night a rescue mission doesn't go quite as planned and she ends up in the arms of a witch hunter who she decides to try to get into his good graces, to try to court him, to get information, and to try to throw them off the track of the Crimson Moth. And our witch hunter Gideon loathes Rune from the start, but when he finds out that her little social circle might have some information on the Crimson Moth, which is like priority number one, have to find witch, he decides to try to court her right back. But of course, the fake courting is going to lead to feelings that neither one of them are going to be able to resist. I absolutely love a romance where one of the main characters has to like hide part of their identity. I live for that reveal and that yearning, especially when they're supposed to be like mortal enemies. This is kind of reminding me of Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. That was another witch hunter romance, and I really enjoyed that series, so I'm hoping this one works for me as well. I have heard absolutely nothing but raving reviews, and I've been wanting to get to this for so long, so I am so excited to finally be able to add it to a TBR and to get into it. I would also love to carry over Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson from last month's TBR that I didn't get to because I really do want to read that one. So if I have time, I would love to read that this month as well, but we'll see how the month goes. What a great stack of books. I don't have each one of them physically, but this is kind of like a visualization of my stack of the books that I have on my November TBR. I am so genuinely excited about every single one of the books on this TBR. I am also going to be getting around to two of my most anticipated releases of the year. I'm going to be celebrating my birthday this month. We have Thanksgiving, so we are going to get some great food. We're going to spend some time with family. What a time to be alive. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me for another round of Nightmares Choosing My TBR. Let me know down in the comments what your most anticipated read for this month is. Also, if any of these happen to be on your TBR, let me know, or if you've read any of them, let me know your thoughts. And leave me some fall leaves down in the comments to let me know you were here. While you're down there, don't forget to like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more from me in the future. I hope you had a wonderful month last month. I hope you have a spectacular November. I hope you are loving what you were reading lately, and I will hopefully see you very soon in another video. Bye, friends.